Wow, thank God. I think this is okay now. Thank God. Hi, good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to my laptop. I've been trying to go live, but it keeps taking me back and forth. Please, if you can hear me, drop yes in the comment section so we can get started. Good evening, good evening, good evening. If you're here and you can hear me, drop yes. Okay, I can see yes in the comment section. All right. We're going to get started. Give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes to turn on my lights so you can see me very well. Meanwhile, please drop where you're watching this live from. I don't know. I've never had a live session like this before, so I don't know how to react. If you're excited for today's class, drop yes and let me know where you're watching this live from. I need this class to be as interactive and active as possible. Tell us where you're watching from while I turn on my lights. All right, so I think this is much better. All right, guys, so let's get started. I'm going to try to rush this class because we have a lot to cover up and we are behind time. So first things, let's talk about skills that pays long term and skills that pays short term. So with regards to skills, there's something I want you to understand before you decide that you want to go into fiction writing. Okay. We have skills that pays long term and then we have skills that pays short term, right? Skills that pay short term are skills that when you learn them, maybe in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month even, you've started seeing money, right? Something like Forex and the rest of them. When you learn them in 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, 4 weeks time, depending on how you're learning it, you start earning little little money, right? And then we have skills that pays long term. Now, skills that pays long term, when you talk about skills that pays long term, you talk about fiction writing. That's where fiction writing comes into place. It is a skill that pays long term. It is not something that you're going to learn today and you start making money in the next 2 weeks. It is not something you're going to learn today and start making money in the next 3 weeks. So I want you to know this and have peace. Okay, so if you are learning this because you're desperate, you want to start making money, maybe you're owing somebody somewhere and you want something that is going to start paying you immediately, please, I want you to know that this skill is not what you should learn because it is not going to pay you immediately. Can fiction writing help you have that your dream life? Yes. Can you make 7 figures monthly from fiction writing? Yes. Can you make 6 figures from fiction writing? Yes, but it takes time. Okay, it is a skill that will pay you, but it will pay you long term. It's not something that you're going to learn and start making money immediately. If somebody is telling you that when you learn fiction writing that you're going to start making money immediately, that person wants to deceive you. That person is not being honest with you. So I want to get cleared on that. So if you want to learn fiction writing, I want you to prepare your mind and tell yourself that yes, this thing is going to make me money, but I need to calm down, learn the basics, practice, try my luck. You're going to face rejections. Me that is out here teaching you, I face my own fair share of rejections, right? So tell yourself that you're going to face all of that and then you're going to start making money and all of that. It's not something that would happen immediately. All right. Now that's it on skills that pays and skill that pays short term versus skills that pays long term. Fiction writing is a skill that pays long term. It's not something that pays immediately. I hope you're getting me. And then after that, the next thing is mindset prep. Okay, before we get into the main details of this class, I want to prep your mindset and tell you that ghostwriting is not something you're going to do and try to be dishonest about it. All these web novel platforms, in as much as they are paying, they are very, very strict. They have their own rules. Anything AI is prohibited. You don't go and copy somebody's work and then you want to make money off it. Okay, so I need you to prepare your mind and tell yourself that I can do this. The top writers, they don't have two heads. They all started just the way you want to start. People that are making money from writing, they don't have three heads. Some of these people, you see their payments receipts and you see tons of dollars. Some of them, they've been writing for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. They've been writing for years, and that's a result of their effort, accumulated effort. So I want you to prep your mind and tell yourself that this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is not something you're going to want to mago your way around it. It does not work that way. You need to calm down and learn. So, but then, is it possible for you to achieve all of those things? Yes. Is it possible for you to get to that level? Yes, it is more than possible. The people that are doing it, they once started the way you are, but with time, see where they are now, right? So you too, you can also be like that. So prep your mind and tell yourself that this is a gradual process. And if you put in the work, trust me, you're going to see the results. That's just it. So we're going to get started. And the things that I wrote here to cover up, we're going to talk about writing tools. I don't have anything jotted out. I just wrote my bullet points here so I don't forget. So we're going to talk about writing tools. We're going to talk about word build versus world build, choice of words and meanings, character development, and I'll wrap this up. So I'm trying to not waste so much time because this class was supposed to start by 7 o'clock. I moved it down to 7:30, and since 7:30 till now, I've been struggling to go live. Okay, so let's talk about writing tools. Tools you need. See, fiction writing is actually very straightforward if you calm down and learn it. There's no tool for you to write apart from your um Google Docs and then a book, maybe a diary or something, and a pen. That is it. There are sometimes when if I have an idea and I don't feel like typing, I just use my book and pour out my idea, write it the way it is in my head. I'll just write it down, and then later when my brain is much more calm, I go through it. And then sometimes maybe when I'm in a public space and I don't have my book with me, I just use my phone and do my type. So for writing tools, what I use is Google Docs. So I use Google Docs to type. And then Google Docs also help me to count my words, because you cannot come and start counting your words. One, two, three, four. You can't come and start doing that manually. So Google Docs helps me to know my word counts. And then another tool that I use is Grammarly. Grammarly is for punctuations. Once I'm done with a particular chapter, I use Grammarly to check if I have any spelling that I made mistake, if I misspelled a particular word, if I put full stop where I'm supposed to put comma, if there's a question mark where there's supposed to be an exclamation mark, stuff like that. So I use Grammarly for punctuations and corrections for spelling mistakes and all of that. And then I use Google Docs for typing. That's the only writing tool that you need. Any other tool that you need is not actually a writing tool. I use Wattpad. Oh my goodness, my connection. Oh my goodness, network. Please. All right, I think my network is back. So any other tool is not actually a writing tool per se. Okay, I use Wattpad, but my Wattpad is not for writing, right? Wattpad is not a writing tool. So I use Wattpad to read. You cannot be a writer if you're not a reader. That is one simple truth. You cannot be a writer if you're not a reader, because you need to read tons of books for you to know what is currently trending, for you to understand writing patterns, for you to see if what you're writing is actually in line with what other people are doing, if you're right on track or not. Okay, so you need to read a lot of books. So I use Wattpad for that. I use Wattpad to read. Although it's been a while since I last used Wattpad to read. Most times, if I want to write for instance, if I want to write for good novel, what I do is I go to good novel and I read books on good novel. If I want to write for mega novel, although I don't have any book on mega novel, but let's assume I want to write for mega novel, I would go to mega novel and look for books that are mega novel and read. Why? Because every platform tends to have their pattern. Every platform tends to have their writing style and all of that. So using Wattpad is good, but sometimes when you want to be specific, you might want to go to your target platform or your dream platform to look out for books that are doing well there and read them, so you can see what top writers in those platforms are doing, and see if you're making mistakes or not. So please, if you're understanding me so far, drop yes in the comment section. Let me be sure that I'm not talking to myself. I want to see your yeses in the comment section. If you're understanding me so far, please drop your yes so I know that people are flowing with me. Okay, okay. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So now down to the next thing we have on our list: essence of storytelling. What is the essence of storytelling? Most times when people write, they don't know the essence of storytelling. And that's why you see a lot of persons thinking that they can maneuver their way and use AI. Because if you understand the essence of storytelling, you would know that storytelling is something anybody can do if they calm down to learn. Okay, one question, Cynthia, you said you're confused somewhere. Where exactly are you confused? Please let us know. So I'd love to ask us this question: what is the essence of storytelling? Everybody here listens to stories. If you watch movie, it is storytelling. If you read books, it is storytelling. If you go to blogs, all these gossip blogs them to read gossip, it is storytelling. If you've gone out and you saw a drama happen in the market and then you come back and then you gist your friend what happened, it is storytelling. If something happened to you and then you go online to do a story time, it is storytelling. If something happened to you and then you share it with your girlfriend, see what happened to me, this person did that, it is storytelling. So in your own understanding, what is the essence of storytelling? That Good Novel, is it an app we can download? Yes, you can download Good Novel. Go to your Play Store or your Apple Store and type Good Novel, you download it. What is the essence of storytelling? Somebody has answered entertainment. Yes, you're right on track. I need more responses, please. I need more responses. What is the essence of storytelling? What is the essence of storytelling, guys? In your own understanding, what is the essence of storytelling? Please, I do not want this class to take us so much time. I've forgotten when we started, but I think we've gone 15 minutes in. I need responses. Just two persons. Storytelling is informative. Yes. Another person says to pass across an information or narration. Yes, you people are getting it. To send a message, okay? To make people happy. All right. I love it. I love it. Keep your responses coming. Now, the essence of story. So somebody said connection, passing information in an interesting way. Thank you. That means you people understand the essence of storytelling to pour out emotions. God bless you. Now, every genre out there has a particular story that is supposed to tell. For instance, when you're writing a romance story, you ask yourself, people that are looking forward to read romance books, what do they want? Sometimes people that are looking forward to read romance books, they have fantasies in their head that they assume that this romance story is going to help them to explore. This romance book they are reading is going to help them validate the fantasy in their head. Some of these people, they have this feeling of, or this urge of, they want to feel loved. Maybe it's a billionaire romance story. They want to feel loved by somebody who is powerful, who is wealthy, and maybe they've never experienced it before. Now, when they read romance stories, billionaire romance stories, it helps these people to live in that moment. These readers might not have a billionaire boyfriend in their life. They might not have any billionaire husband or whatever it is in their life. But when they read these stories, these billionaire romance stories, it helps them to live in the moment, right? It helps them to, in their brain, they are already living that type of life. Please, how do you use AI to write? I don't use AI to write, so I don't know. I do not use AI to write, and I don't advise anybody to use AI to write. Calm down and learn how to write. You can actually write yourself if you learn. It's not that difficult. If you calm down and learn, you can actually do it yourself. Platforms frown at using AI. Some platforms have started banning Nigerians because Nigerians are beginning to use AI to write to the point that it is now so obvious. So some platforms have started banning Nigerians. Some platforms say if you're Nigerian and you apply for contract, whether you use AI to write or not, they will not give you contract anymore. Why? Because Nigerians that are using AI to write has spoiled show for us. So AI, I don't teach it. I don't use it. Do not use it. Go and learn how to write the proper way if you want to make good money from this skill. So now back to storytelling. What is the essence of storytelling? A lot of us have said it to garner interest. Sometimes storytelling to preserve ideas. Maybe you're writing a reincarnation story or something to preserve ideas. Can you write romantic stories with filtering words because of age? Yes, you can. If you want to write erotica, you can write erotica. The only thing is when you're applying for contracts, you um you put in age bracket of readers that's supposed to read the book. That's just it. So please, this is not time for question and answer. Okay, let me teach. We'll have time for Q&A. So when you're writing your book, depending on the genre you're writing, you ask yourself, is this book meeting up to the essence of storytelling? Is this book meeting up to the essence of storytelling? If your book is not meeting up to the essence of storytelling, then you need to go back and check where the loophole is and fix it. Maybe the book is lacking emotion. Maybe the book does not have interesting conflict. Maybe the book sometimes you'll be writing a romance story, but the book lacks the romance itself. Do you understand? So you ask yourself, is this book meeting up to the essence of storytelling? If your book is meeting up to the essence of storytelling, good and fine. If it's not, then you need to fix the loophole. And now, when your book is meeting up to the essence of storytelling, it does not have to be one essence. Somebody says when I ask essence of storytelling, somebody says entertainment. Now, if your book is just for entertainment only, sometimes to make that book to be streamlined, your book will just be going in a parallel line, no branches, no nothing. And sometimes it can make your book to be predictable, and you don't want that, right? So you might want to add, a mix of essence or the essence of storytelling. Like let your book meet up to like 3 to 5 essence of storytelling so that your book will be well garnished, interesting to read and all of that. If you're asking me any question, I'm not going to answer it because we're not in question and answer session. The next thing I want to talk about is word build versus world build. There's something we call word build in story fiction writing, and there's something we call world build. Word build, WORD. build. Then world build, WORLD, world build. So now let's talk about it. When we talk about word build, when you're writing your story, sometimes it's not just about you writing a story. There are some, do you know that two persons can write the same letter and they're actually saying the same thing? However, one person's letter will hold more emotion than the other person's letter. For instance, she walks into the building happily, or she walks into the building smiling with a a bottle of wine in her hands, and then she marched into the building joyfully with a bottle of wine. Those two words are actually saying the same thing, but they don't have the same emotion. She walked into the building and she marched into the building, walked and marched. At the end of the day, two of them they waka, they enter inside the building. Two of them are actually entering inside the building. She walked into the building, she marched into the building. Two of them are actually entering inside the building at the end of the day. But she walked into the building and she marched into the building. They don't mean the same thing. Like they don't hold the same emotion. She walked into the building, that person might just be walking lackadaisically. She marched into the building. That means there's some emotion or something pumped in, right? Now, that's it for word building. Now, when we talk about world building, okay, let me use another example for word building again so you understand. You might say, he kept, during the meeting, he kept staring at that direction. And then another person will come and say, she was looking at that direction. Both of them are not the same thing. Or maybe let's say she kept staring at that direction and she glanced at that direction. She took a glance at that direction. At the end of the day, it has to do with the eyes. The person's eyes was looking at a direction, but she kept staring and she took a glance does not mean the same thing. So when you are writing, you need to know your wordings. You need to know your wordings and make sure that the wordings in your sentences are able to convey the emotion that you want your readers to feel. Now, talking about world building, when we talk about world building, let's assume you're writing a book that has to do with royalty, a king, a kingdom, all of that. A king may wear a crown, but that king is not the only person ruling. With kingdoms, there's monarch, there's nobles, there's the royal council, there's the kingdom, there's the council meeting, all of those things, the regalia, carriage, guarding. Sometimes these are things that are associated with um anything that has to do with royalty, whether it's in movie or in storytelling. When you're talking about maybe CEO billionaire romance, you might talk about CEO prenuptial agreements, stuff like that. You're writing a mafia story. Sometimes they have boss, they have alias this, alias that. There's truce, there's capo, So when you're writing a particular genre, let's say you're writing for mafia, you need to know the world surrounding mafia stories. And two ways for you to know that is by watching mafia movies and also by reading mafia stories. That's the only way. That's why if you don't watch a lot of mafia stories, mafia movies, you don't read a lot of mafia stories, you might not be no you might not you'll not be able to write a good mafia story. That's the honest truth. You'll not be able to write a good mafia story because you don't understand the world of mafia. Do you understand? So that's it for world building and word building. In one of my TikTok videos, I once said that you cannot be a good writer if you don't know how to research. So when you want to write your story, depending on the story that you're writing, you might want to do your research so you know your words, you know your world, you know the world surrounding the truths and the genre of the story that you are actually writing or that you want to write. Okay. So and that is it for uh world building. Okay. And then the next thing we want to talk about choice of words and meaning. I think I also covered it when I talked about word building. Choice of words and meaning. One person can make two sentences with the same word, but they don't mean the same thing. Sorry, guys. Let me do something on the group. Let me remind people. One person can say the same thing, and two persons rather can say the same thing, and they don't mean the same thing. I don't know if you've watched all these movies where maybe a guy will be asking a lady out, and you'll be like, this guy, his lines, he knows his words. This will like you'll be thrilled at what that person is saying. And then another person in that same movie might be asking a lady out, and the person's words will just be boring. You yourself that is watching the movie, you'll be like, this person knows sabi ask woman out, something like that. Like this person doesn't know how to ask a woman out. Now both persons are doing the same thing, right? They're actually asking a woman out, but one knows his way around his words, while the other person does not know his way around his words. Now that is it for words and your choice. Words holds meanings. Words carry meanings. There are some words that you're going to use there are some words that you're going to use, and it will carry meaning. Your story will carry meaning. That sentence will carry emotion. And there are some words that you're going to use, and that sentence will be boring. That sentence will be bare minimum. Will not be able to people will not be able to the vibe or the emotion you want your readers to feel in that sentence or in that book or that chapter. Your readers will not be able to feel it. So words words have meanings. Words have power with regards to your writing. Whether you're writing billionaire romance, you want to write mafia, you want to write reincarnation, you need to get used you need to know your wordings. And it still brings us back to reading. The only way for you to know your words is when you read a lot of books based on the kind of story that you intend to start writing. And then when you watch a lot of movies based on the kind of story you intend to start writing, you would with time you start mastering your words. Sometimes when I watch a movie or when I'm reading a book and I see a particular sentence that catches my fancy, I just type it out. Later I would go back to it and read meaning into that sentence or that word that I had. It might be useful to me. Tomorrow I might be writing a particular paragraph that would need that word to come into place, and then I'll go back to where I wrote my word. I actually have a diary, like a folder on my phone where any sentence that catches my fancy, I just put it there. Do you understand? So I may not some of them I've not even used them, but it helps me to build my words. It helps me to get to know a lot of wordings to use when I'm writing my story. And we're almost done. We'll soon enter Q&A session where you can now ask your questions. The next thing I want to talk about is character development. Character development. When you want to write a story, your characters, who are they at the beginning of the story and who will they be at the end of your story? You that is listening to me now on this live class, the person you were 2 years ago is not the person you are right now. Even if you're the same person, you cannot tell me that there is no change in you. Even the person you were, the kind of mindset you had at the beginning of this year and now, there must have been little changes, life challenges, your success, your wins, trials. All of this things helps to shape who you are. It helps to change your mindset, who you are, how you think, and everything. Now, the same thing goes with your characters. The person your character was when your character started the story, and the person your character was when your character will end the story can never be the same thing. If they are the same thing, then your character did not grow. There was no journey. You did not carry your character did not go through any journey in this. So your character was just stagnant, and that is a boring story. So your character needs to grow. For instance, you might start your story as, maybe let's assume your female lead. The female lead in your story might start as somebody who is weak. Okay, your female lead might start as somebody who is weak. And then by the time the story must have ended, your female lead will now be a badass chick. She would now have a mind of her own. Nobody will be able to manipulate her anymore. People will not toss her around. She will know her self-worth, she will know her value and all of that. And that person can write another story and her female lead will be very, very strong. Her guards are always, there. She does not allow anybody to penetrate into her space. She does not trust easily. She does not have time for love and everything. And by the time your story must have ended, your female lead will still be strong, but by then things would have happened to her in the story to make her to start trusting people, to make her to start allowing people into her space, to make her understand that you cannot do this life alone. No matter what happens, you would definitely need people. You need to bring people into your space. So character development is very, very important. Before you start doing your plot outline and everything, you need to know who your character is at the beginning of the story, who your character will be at the ending of the story, who your character will be at the middle of the story even. It does a lot of things. Some persons might see it as stress, but sometimes developing your character helps you to get plot twist. It helps you to get subplot twist. Because if your character is going to be weak at the beginning and at the middle, your character will loosen up a bit, and then by the ending, your character will be a badass shake. Things will happen for your character to become all of those persons. Now, what are those things that are going to happen? All those things that are going to happen are the plot event, things that are going to happen in your story, right? Now, through all of those things, you can be able to bring out your plot twist, your subplot twist. You can sieve out the conflicts in the story, know the ones that are impactful, the ones that are unnecessary, the ones that are too much, the ones that are supposed to be in the story. Okay, so that is it for character development. Now, by the time you have your story idea, you have your characters fully developed and all of that, you can now start doing your plot outline. Sorry, my brother is distracting me. You can now start doing your plot outline, and then you now enter down to writing your book chapters. Before now, I used to do, after writing my plot outline, I'll do my chapter breakdown before I start writing my book chapters. But then after chopping rejections back to back, I realized that it was stress, because if they reject my work, all of those things will go down the drain. So what I do is, once I develop my characters, I have my story idea, I do my plot outline, I'll do my first 3 chapters, 5 chapters, 10 chapters, depending on the platform I want to submit my book to. And then if the book gets contracted, that's when I'll now come down and do my chapter breakdown and start writing proper. So there's a lot with regards to writing. Writing is not something you learn in a day. Writing is not something you just wake up and say, I want to start writing, and then you start writing. You actually write. For you to actually write and these platforms will pay you, that means you're entertaining people. You are getting people to, do you know what it means for somebody to use her money, pay money to read your book? That means you're writing something worth it. You're meeting up to people's expectations. If I want to read a romance book, I want to feel loved, and I'm reading your book, maybe your book is romance. That means your book is actually making me feel some type of way, like you're getting me jittery, my emotions and everything. You understand how to get my emotions right. That's the only thing that can make me spend money for me to keep reading your book chapter by chapter. So it's not something you're just going to come and start doing immediately. A lot of things comes into place with writing, but this is a free class. It's a beginner class, like I said, so I'm not going deep and all of that. I believe I've covered everything that I listed out that I was going to cover. So I think it's time for question and answer, because sometimes question and answer can take a lot of time. So if you have any question, you can drop it. We are almost done. We are almost done. If you have any question, if you have any question, please drop it so I can attend to your questions before we wrap up. All right, somebody said, what is a plot outline? All right, your plot outline is basically everything that is going to happen in your story. Okay, everything that is going to happen in your story from the beginning to the middle to the ending. Before you start writing your chapters, you're going to write your plot outline. Your plot outline will help you not to write and all of a sudden you'd go out of context in your story. So everything that is going to happen in your story from the beginning to the middle to the ending, how it's going to happen and everything, the gradual process, that is what is a plot outline. Plot outline, some persons write their plot outline in three ways. They split their plot outline into three. They write the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, and the ending of the story. While some persons they split their plot outline into five parts. They write the exposition, the inciting incidents, the rising action, the climax, and the denouement. Exposition is the beginning of the story. Inciting incident is, it contains the core premise of your story. Rising action is all the wasbos that are going to happen in your story. The climax, when you're watching a movie and the tension of the movie have reached here, like almost the ceiling, it's about to blow off. That's the climax. And then the denouement is where you now conclude your story and give it a happy ending. All right. Your questions are too much. Let me use my phone to I don't have my glasses, so for me to see from my laptop here, I would have to peep. What other question? Mm, please, how exclusive and non-exclusive contract works? Okay, exclusive contract means, for instance, if Good Novel signs your book and gives you an exclusive contract, that means that book is going to be on Good Novel alone. It cannot be on another platform. Now, non-exclusive contract means that your book can be in as many platforms as possible. That's literally the difference. What is the plot outline? I've answered that question before. So, do we have to write a summary of what the story is all about before starting? Yes. Everything that's going to happen in your story, you need to write it before you start your chapters. How can we get an AE? There's so many AEs. Go to TikTok, go to Facebook. There are lots of AEs out there. Shall be careful of whom you are chatting up and doing business with as an AE, because some of them they'll just lift your work and steal it. I'm talking from experience. Can contest you on Good Novel? I don't understand that question. Please, you might want to rephrase. Would you have to know everything in your story before you write? Yes, that's where your plot outline comes into place. Everything that happens in your story is has to be in your plot outline. Although along the line, when you start writing your chapters, new ideas are supposed to come in and you're free to add them. But your plot outline is everything that's going to happen in your story. It's from your plot outline that your editing editor will even vet your story and see if this story has chances of doing well. And if it has chances of doing well, that's when they'll now go through your chapter and see if they'll give you a contract or reject your work. um Please, good better platforms. Every platform is good. Do you pre-write chapters in bulk, or so you don't have, if your book gets signed, you can decide on how you want to write it, whether you want to be writing a video or you can batch write. How do we start chapters? Because I get confused. When you write your plot outline and you outline, you can start writing your chapters. Every chapter needs to have what they would contain. Do you have a mentorship group where I coach people? Okay, I do not have a course. Okay, I don't have a course. I've had a lot of requests on that, but I've not had the time to create a course. Creating a course is time consuming. I've not had the time to do that. But I have a cohort. I usually do a 6 weeks cohort. So it's not like a course. We'll have like 4 classes in a week. I take people from story creating to, I'll talk about that later. It will take time. Let me just answer your questions. Do books with plenty pages like 300 plus get a good read? Why not? Go to platform, go to Good Novel. You see a book that has more than 1,000 chapters, and funny enough, the book has not been completed. People are still like, the author of the book keeps updating the book. Once your book has a good storyline and you know how to write, even if your book, like, let's say, reach 1 million chapters, you will still have readers reading your book, and it's to your own advantage because the book will keep making you money. In submitting the first 5 chapters or 10 chapters, what should the plot what should a plot scene entail? Is it going to be a summary of what the story would be like? I've answered this question before. Your plot outline is everything that happens in your story, not even in summary, in detail. Everything that is going to happen in your story from beginning to middle to ending in detail. That is going to go and be in your plot outline. Do not hide any detail from your editor, because you don't know the information that your editor is going to see in your plot outline that will encourage them to give you a contract. Um, please, how do you write about 8K to 9K with just your thinking? People do 200K even. The first step is to have your plot outline. After your plot outline, you write your first trial chapters depending on the platform requirement and submit. Now, once they give you a contract, you can now do a chapter breakdown. From your plot outline, you break down your chapters. Everything is going to happen in your chapter, chapter by chapter. You break it down so that when you start writing, it will not be, you will not be cracking your brain thinking of what is going to happen. When you go to where you wrote your chapter breakdown, this and this is going to happen in your chapter when you write it. Sorry, let me show you something. Chisholm, because so that my book, no noche. I want to show you something. There's this book that I'm currently working on. Mhm, thank you. There's this book I'm currently working on for a platform. I'm not going to show you. Okay, this is a mafia story, right? That I just submitted. Now, this is what is going to happen in my chapter 1 to 4. I seen how I wrote it out. I seen these are not everything that's going to happen in my chapters. Oh, sorry. This is not everything that's going to happen in my chapter. This is just like major things that will happen in my chapter. So that by the time I start writing my chapters and I go through it, and then I read from my plot outline, I'll now expand it and add more things to it. This is what I wanted to show you now. This is a book I'm currently working on. I just finished it. I finished the book and I sent it to my um AE to go through it, and then she sent me an email to tell me that it's good, I can apply. She's a Filipino, by the way. So I now broke down what is going to happen in my chapters. All of these things now. What just happened? All right, sorry. So all of these things now are things that I listed out that is going to happen in my chapters. See, all of these things are things I listed that is going to happen in my chapters. A lot of things, you're human being. Only family challenges alone can fool your head and you skip. So sometimes you need to write these things down. I don't know what's happened to my laptop. Sometimes you need to write all of these things and make it to be in detailed so that you will not forget. What documents? Hey, Oginipa. All right, guys, I don't know what is going on. Watching. Mom, the laptop. Up or bata, up or bata. Let me end this class and start again, please. I don't know what's going on with this laptop.